If you're newly pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, but you also want to work out, you want to stay fit, you want to take care of your body, how do you know how much is too much? We're going to get into that today. I'm Juli Bauer Roth, the food, fitness, and lifestyle blogger behind PaleOMG. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm here to share my favorite wellness, food, and fitness tips to help you live your best damn life. Today we're going to be talking about exercise with pregnancy. Ooh, it is such a controversial topic, and everyone's going to have a different opinion, so that makes it challenging to know what to do. So today I wanted to talk about how to know how much is too much and what kind of exercise you should be doing during pregnancy. And believe me, it's going to be different for every single person. So take this with a grain of salt. So a little bit about me. I went to school for health and exercise science. I was a personal trainer. I was a CrossFit trainer. I have created a ton of different fitness programs, from my Power Sculpt weightlifting program to my body weight Power Body program. I mean, all kinds of different programs. And I have had my own fitness journey along the way. I started mostly with cardio in college and really hated working out. And then I got more into lifting as I started doing CrossFit. And then I caused myself injury because I was going way too hard without really paying attention to my recovery. And then I've really found this great balance of lifting on a regular basis. I also like to do Pilates sometimes, but I lift most of the time doing strength training, resistance training, and I'm just challenging my muscles and challenging my body on a weekly basis. So once I got pregnant, my goal was to continue along that path. Now, it was quite interesting. As I was trying to find the perfect doctor, I went into my first OBGYN, and she told me immediately to not lift over 35 pounds. My husband was like, hey, she lifts really heavy weights on a regular basis. Is that still true? And she was like, yep, no over 35 pounds. At that moment in time, I had a paralyzed dog who was 35 pounds, who had just come out of surgery. And to be told that I can't be picking up my dog, which she told me, was completely unrealistic. And I thought about all the moms who are already pregnant, who have children, and then told not to lift over 35 pounds. That's completely unrealistic to me. So luckily, I found a different doctor. I found some midwives and some nurses who asked what I was doing. First of all, that was one of the most important things. They asked what I was doing when it came to fitness. When I told them, they said, awesome, continue to do what you're doing. Continue to lift and modify as needed. Modify movements, modify weight. If something doesn't feel comfortable, substitute it with something else. That seemed very realistic to me, to be able to do what I was doing before and modify as needed. So today when I'm not talking about pregnancies with complications. If you have complications and your doctor is telling you not to work out, I highly recommend listening to them. We're not talking about that. Today, we're talking about fitness in terms of a healthy pregnancy. If you have a healthy pregnancy, you're not put on bed rest, you're not told to rest in any capacity, well, it's important to remember to do what you were doing before. That means if you were running on a regular basis before, maybe you were into triathlons or Ironman, continue to do that, unless it feels uncomfortable. If you were doing HIIT style training, continue to do that. Just make sure you can continue to talk at a regular pace while you're doing your HIIT. We don't want you to be breathing, sucking wind when you're doing those workouts. And if you were resistance training before, continue to do that. Resistance training has been shown to improve mood, labor time, delivery time, weight management, fetal development, and postpartum recovery. And it also reduces the likelihood of gestational diabetes, hypertension, depression, back pain, and even more. Resistance training is so important. Not only are we building strong bones, we're building strong muscles, and those muscles are really important not only in labor, but as you recover as well. Now, if you've done no exercise prior to pregnancy, don't worry. That doesn't mean you can't start now. Walking is an amazingly underrated activity. Make sure you're walking on a regular basis. And yes, you can start a lifting program even if you haven't before. You start light, you get comfortable with movements, you dial in your form, and yes, you can safely start a lifting program while pregnant. But here's the gist of everything. You are the only person who is going to know how much is too much. And that's when listening to your body is so important. If you're feeling completely winded and completely out of breath, it's time to reduce that exercise. If you're feeling pubic pain, it's time to change up the movements. If you're just trying to beat the person next to you, maybe calm down a bit. We're leaving our ego at the door when it comes to pregnancy, and we're literally just working on ourselves to keep ourselves healthy and to keep our baby healthy. But if you are still worried if you're doing the right things for your body and for your baby, something I cannot recommend enough is a pelvic floor physical therapist. This person is going to help you really learn how to contract and release your pelvic floor whenever you're doing any sort of movement, and they'll help you figure out what movements are best for you. I recently saw a pelvic floor physical therapist, and not only was she able to teach me how to truly contract my core, which feels incredibly different than it did before pregnancy, but she also taught me the importance of releasing your pelvic floor at the same time, because we need to be able to tighten, we need to be able to contract, but we need to be able to loosen, because guess what? When you got to push a child out, you got to know how to relax. So after she teaches you how to do those things, you can really talk through the workouts that you're doing, whether you're doing strength training or HIIT or a jumping movement or sliding like a Pilates type movement. And he or she can walk you through what movement is going to be best for you and what movements you should leave at the door. For me, since I was going through some different pelvic pain, she told me to let go of movements such as jumping, maybe jump rope or doing any sort of hurdle jumps like I was doing before, but then also any movements like lunges if that started to irritate things. She also taught me how to properly engage my core so I feel really comfortable and confident doing core activities now that I understand what I'm physically doing and how long I can hold those movements. As long as you don't have complications in pregnancy, like I said before, exercise is so important and you shouldn't be scared of it. Continue to do what you were doing before and modify as needed. If you weren't doing anything before, start some sort of fitness routine, whether that's taking a walk in the park, whether that's going to a new gym, working with a personal trainer, trying out a different class, starting with really light weights in your basement so you can get comfortable with the form and positioning of each movement. But know that if you don't have complications, exercise is so important and it's so vital for a healthy you and a healthy baby. For me, before pregnancy, I was lifting on a regular basis and I was lifting very heavy. For me, at least, I was lifting over 300 pounds on my hip thrust, 350 pounds with my glute bridge. I was squatting on a regular basis, deadlifting. I was doing all the heavy lifts and really pushing myself. I was even doing a 45-pound pull-up at the same time. So I was doing so many cool things. And when I got pregnant, I continued to do those things until I really couldn't. So in that first trimester, I didn't have as much energy. So my workouts kind of suffered mostly because I just didn't have the energy to put into them, not because of any physical changes. I was still able to hold on to my weighted pull-ups until about 19 weeks. And then I just felt I couldn't keep my core stabilized. So I let go of those. We went into pull-ups, let go of those. And then we went into barbell rows or ring rows. So we really transitioned and modified as needed. Then I was feeling really comfortable with jumping movements. I was jumping rope every day. I was doing different type hurdle jumps and box jumps. And as that went on, I started to feel some pelvic pain, ligament pain in between that pelvis. And so I decided to cut those things out and started going into different movements instead. So I've really learned to listen to my body and modify as needed. Another example was the hip thrust. Well, a hip thrust kind of goes near your crotch, top of your thighs. Well, as your belly grows and your uterus grows, it gets pretty uncomfortable pretty quickly. So I had to cut out a normal glute bridge because I just couldn't hold the barbell in a good position. But I was able to modify the hip thrust. Instead of doing heavy hip thrusts, like a 300-pound hip thrust, my trainer would bring a lighter barbell on top of me. He would set it down lower on my legs because I couldn't push it up from the ground because it would roll onto my belly. And then instead of doing full reps, I would do a rep and hold at the top for 3 seconds, or I would do a rep and a pulse. So I'm increasing that intensity a little bit and increasing that volume as well with more reps. So instead of doing a heavy 3x5 at my hip thrust with that 300 pounds, now I'm doing a much lighter 3x15 to 20 reps of a hip thrust at a way lighter weight, at a more comfortable weight, but I'm making it more challenging with my 3-second rest or my pulse within that rep. We've also done a ton of landmine single leg hip thrusts, dumbbell single leg hip thrusts. We've been able to modify in so many unique ways to still really challenge that muscle, to grow that muscle, and to experience some sort of muscle change throughout this pregnancy. Now, if I felt too tired, I didn't have much to give, I told my trainer that, I told myself that, and we just modified and did less weight, took the intensity down a bit, and that was it. It wasn't a big deal if I didn't hit those numbers that I hoped for, because it's not a numbers game during pregnancy. It is just a health game. Remember to modify as needed. Leave your ego at the door. This is not a time to push through that pain. It's a time to listen to your body. So modify a movement such as a lunge if that's feeling uncomfortable. Maybe we can do a split type lunge, or maybe just move to squats altogether. If a heavy barbell on your back no longer feels comfortable for back squats, then grab some dumbbells and squat to a box. There are so many different ways that you can modify, and I have a lot of different options in my programs to choose from to help you out. Another important factor, be sure that you can talk through these movements. We don't want to be sucking wind. We don't want to be fully exhausted. We want to conserve some energy, and so we have energy throughout our day, and we have plenty of energy to give to that little babe. And two more things are especially important. If you can find a pelvic floor physical therapist, you will learn so much about your body and feel so much more comfortable in the gym, especially if you felt a little bit nervous about working out while pregnant. And I don't want you to forget to rest. Working out is just as important as resting. So make sure you add in rest days where you're not going to the gym at all, you're not putting your body through strenuous activity, that you're fully recovering, because this baby is taking a lot of energy from you, and depending on your pregnancy, you're not going to have a lot of excess energy to give. So make sure you rest just as much as you exercise. I can't push that enough, and I wish I had learned that much earlier in life along my own fitness journey. Fitness is a wonderful, amazing component of a healthy body and a healthy baby. Not only is it going to help you through pregnancy, through labor, and through postpartum, but it's going to help you beyond. So don't stop your fitness journey just because you're pregnant. And if you haven't worked out before, don't be afraid to start. Get moving, take care of your body, and your future self will thank you. If you are interested in lifting during pregnancy, I have my prenatal program that will teach you different ways that you can modify throughout pregnancy, whether you are starting from the beginning or you've been working out for a long time. So I'll make sure to link that below. But I have a ton of different non-pregnancy related programs, whether you want workouts that are 30 minutes or less, that's my Power 30 program. I have my Align program, which is my workouts that are only 3 times a week, full body workouts. So if you are short on time, this is going to help you out throughout the week. I'll make sure to link all of those below, but I would love to hear from you. I want to know what kind of exercise you have been doing during your pregnancy or have done in the past, and what you've been nervous about. If you were scared to work out, if you were told that you're not supposed to lift over 20 pounds, one of my friends was told that recently, I want to hear from you and your own experience, because everyone's experience is so different. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and I have more videos to come. And subscribe so you can get even more content from PaleOMG. Next, I have a few other videos I think you're going to enjoy, so stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to chat more.